Is Apple planning a revenge against Epic Games? Or does Apple want to come into the gaming industry? You will know towards the end of this episode. Hello and welcome to the iGeeks blog show, an Apple exclusive podcast where we talk about teeny tiny, every possible information about the Apple ecosystem. I'm your host Harshanki, and in today's episode, you're going to be listening to Apple venturing into the gaming industry, man. I mean, what all does Apple even wants to do? Okay, I'm not gonna build up the heat that much. So this year, a little earlier, say in May 2021, a Korean web forum, a South Korean, let me be very specific here, a South Korean web forum came up with this amazing rumor that Apple is planning to enter into the gaming industry by launching its own game console. What we have been calling it till now is Apple Game Console, and it may or may not come anytime next year, earlier next year, or it can also come up as an extension to the already existing Apple TV. Now, here's the confusion. If it is coming up as a game console, would people even buy it? I mean, aren't the existing Apple products good enough to sustain the Apple Arcade games and more? And if it is coming up as a new device on the whole, what would be the price? Would people buy an overpriced product? I mean, you can't deny the fact since Apple is adding its own brand value to it, it's going to be freaking expensive. So would people even be interested in that? Well, there are a lot of things to discuss, but guess what? We're not claiming this just because of this South Korean forum that I read this rumor a couple of days ago. But this exciting Apple leaker, Fudge, he goes by the name Fudge, if you guys stalk him on Twitter or whatever, came out with another rumor later part of the last year, around October in the year 2020, where he mentioned that Apple wants to enter into the gaming arena. And that is why it has been working. But he had more solid rumors to the Apple TV extension that we talked about earlier and not coming up as a separate game console. Now, here are a couple of conspiracy theories that just, we built up across in the room while we were talking. And it makes sense, okay? Mind you, it makes sense because August last year was the Apple versus Epic Games case filed. Oh, August this year. August last year. August last year. I'm sorry. August last year, the Apple versus Epic lawsuit was filed, and by October, we had the first leak out there of Apple entering into the game industry, probably trying to thrash the competitor out, or maybe just trying to keep its impression intact by venturing into the industry that the biggest, say, presence there tried to challenge Apple ecosystem on the whole. This is why it absolutely makes sense. And what adds fuel to the rumor? See, again, it's very strategically all the rumors are coming out, okay? May 2021, the rumors for a separate device came out, which was just before the time Apple versus Epic trial was supposed to begin and the results were supposed to come out. Another major point to consider. Why else would Apple come up with rumors? I mean, don't you think these rumors are partly fabricated or maybe coming up strategically being leaked at the right time? And if they are true, are they really going to make sense? I mean, if you ask me, I really believe this is some, one of them Apple monopolies where they really want to just trash their competitors out and pose as superior compared to the other people over there. Again, why this theory makes a lot more sense? Because who doesn't remember Apple's conversion into the M1 chips and slowly and gradually making the ecosystem so intact that within the next 2 years, Intel chips are going to go way out and M1 chips are going to enter, right? This is Apple very slyly throwing Intel, its existing largest competitor in the market. So on the same time, it is also giving Intel huge financial losses because it used to buy chips from Intel, right? But now having its own chip caused a revenue loss to Intel. The fact that the chips are better and stronger is also an impression loss. So Intel has a lot of brand identity work to do in the future. And let's just say it's possibly the death of Intel that we see. So now if Apple could do that to Intel, it might as well do the same to Epic Games, and hence the new game console makes a little more sense to me. Okay, now enough of the cons. Lately, I've realized I've been criticizing a lot, but unless you don't see the bad side of the story, you won't possibly be able to appreciate the good part of it. You know. So when you talk about, okay, let's talk about the bright sides. If if Apple has a new product, in today's episode, we'll talk if Apple has a new game console as a product and not an extension to the Apple TV. What are the pros? How would it be beneficial to us? When will it come in the market? How is it planning on beating its competitors? And what would be the price? The most important point is what would be the price of the product? Okay. So Apple has always wanted to enter into the gaming industry. Now, if you remember, should I not? Yeah, I'll say it. 25 years from now, Apple came up with this device called Pipen. How many of you remember that? Oh my god, what a disaster was Apple's grand entry into the ecosystem supposed to be. It was overpriced, it underperformed, the reviews were pathetic, it tanked. It tanked to such an extent that it is considered as one of the Apple's worst products ever. Not just me, you read Verge, you read Mac Rumors, you read 9 to 5 Mac, also a couple of hidden Apple people for that matter, have claimed it to be the worst Apple product ever. That bad was the entry. Nothing was working perfectly. Nothing. I mean, what even made Apple take that huge move and get the product live in the market, physically selling in the stores? It was that bad. After that, Apple just never looked back into the gaming industry until the lawsuits started coming. If you think about it a little more rationally, Apple's kind of sort of did, how do you call it, a test drive of sorts by launching Apple Arcade, which is a subscription service, and you get it at $4.99 a month, right? That is sort of a test drive that if people are going to buy the subscription service and they're interested, then would come the second move, which is launching their own product so that people can use the subscription service. Fitness Plus is a great example to it. They had the Apple Watch first, then they came up with the subscription, tightening the Apple ecosystem on the whole. Now, when you talk about Apple's entry into the gaming industry, they came up with a subscription service first, they'll come up with a product later. This, my friends, right here is a very solid point and to an extent makes sense. And possibly because Apple just wants to diversify. Innovation is the essence of keeping you ahead of the game. It is very important of keeping you ahead of the game. And when you talk about the present scenarios, no, be it all the negative branding that Apple has gotten into the gaming industry because of the lawsuit, um, Apple never being a gaming, you know, like a company made for gamers, to say the least. Although times have changed with, say, A15 Bionic chip for the iPhones and like the M1 and M1X and M1 Pros and things like that, because now the gaming scenario has drastically improved. So maybe they want to take it a notch higher and come up with their own gaming console. And I mean, even Facebook for that matter, Facebook is coming up with its own metaverse. Like, so everyone is innovating at some point or the other, which means it's high time for Apple also to start showing up with some innovations, if and only if they want to venture in the gaming industry. What would be really exciting though would be if they have a combination of sorts with the AR glasses that they are developing and the gaming console that they have. Now, that is a combination I'd want to try. Just the console as a separate piece, I don't think I'd want to try. I'm happy with my Apple devices and the games do just a fine job. Talking about the next point, how is it beneficial? A new product, how is it beneficial? Well, if you've ever been an Apple user, if you're listening to this podcast, chances are you are an Apple user. One can't deny the fact that Apple ecosystem, once you go Apple, there is no going back, right? Now, if you're a gamer, like with the integrated chips now and better performances, you've been doing a lot of things, but you still have to rely on your PlayStations or your Xbox to play those hardcore games that you really like playing. And that is this one part that Apple is not a part of yet. So maybe by launching a right game, they'd be a part of that and capture that industry as well, further tightening the ecosystem and making you more dependent. Now, this is not a place where we're talking about codependency at all. This is a place where we're talking about 100% dependency to the Apple ecosystem. And this is what Apple is trying to capture, maybe. And if you ask me, would it be able to beat its competitors? Well, I'd say no, because it's very hard convincing gamers to switch their devices, not because of the smoothness of their consoles, but the fact that the games that they play, they're dependent on it. The communication that they have, the way they channelize their inner energy with the help of the consoles, like it's not just a console for any gamer. It's more than that. They have feelings attached to it. So testing their loyalty would be a huge, huge shot. But then you ask me about it when Apple came up with AirPods Max. Agreed that they are overpriced, but they beat the shit out of XM4 and Bose 700, the best selling ANC headphones in the market back then. Even today, you cannot beat the noise cancellation that AirPods Max is providing. So it came, it established, it conquered, right? And now all the audiophiles have been relying on AirPods Max if they're focusing on the noise cancellation. If you ask me personally, I'd still stick to XM4 because I have feelings attached. But that is because I have a little bit of editing work to do, and so XM4 does the job for me. But if I have to use it as a noise cancellation gadget, then I'm not going back to Sony. I mean, AirPods Max is the shit, bro. I'm not kidding. It is the best. And when you have the best, you just don't want to go to something else. But then comes a very important part is pricing. How would it be priced? What would be the pricing structure? Knowing Apple as a company and the brand value it gives and the smoothness that it adds to your experience as a whole, that is the price that you're paying for it. You know how people keep complaining that Apple products are overpriced? Now tell me one thing. Why do you go to a five-star hotel or a restaurant or say chill at one of the best resorts out there? You'd pay 10 times the price of say an average hotel room for that matter, or you can also Airbnb a place at probably one-fifth of the price. But you pay that price because you're paying for the experience, you're paying for the added facilities, you're paying for a smoother life. The ambience, the food, the music, the comfort, the luxury is what you're paying for. And that is the essence of Apple ecosystem, right? So it is going to be overpriced because it comes with a lot of added things to it that captures the human addition to it, the human attraction to it, and that keeps the product selling, that keeps the baby selling, right? So yeah, it is going to be overpriced for sure, but then there are two price points that I'm looking at right now. You can either consider it to be priced under $1,000 or under $500. See, if they price it under $1,000, no, there is no way I can see myself buying a game console that expensive just so that I can be more connected to the ecosystem. Like I'm loyal, but $1,000, I'd rather put it in Ethereum. Or just buy another Apple product worth $1,000 and play the games with the subscription service. Right? That makes more sense. So $1,000 is just out of the picture, but when we did a poll, a lot of users suggested us two price ranges. Now, when I talk about the second price range, which is under $500, see now that is a price range. It makes a lot of sense because currently the best selling game consoles in the market would be PS5 and Xbox X, right? Xbox X, yes. So when I talk about them, both of them are priced at $499 or 449 euros, which would be a perfectly good price to pay for. Now, that is something that we can see Apple doing as well. And if they are placing it somewhere around $500, okay, $50 maybe as an add-on cost or something, and like with free engravings they do that, right? So I guess under $500 or say 550 or maybe $600 should be a decent price. But anything more than that, I don't see anyone buying that gadget. It would be interesting to see because who even buys a game console anymore? And if Apple is coming up with a game console, they need to have it backed up by either extremely amazing, breathtaking performance or some kick ass branding. You know what Apple's strategy has been all this year? So, when Apple tries to launch a new product in the market, no, they really try to captivate the human emotions behind it. So when I say they're trying to captivate the human emotions, that means the Apple Watch, that couple story, the guy had some heart problem, the wife gifted him the Apple Watch and the man was saved. That sold the watch like crazy. So a performance, kick-ass performance backed up with solid marketing is what can get a product successful. And I talk about game console, I can't help but, as a marketer, think that what would be the branding strategies behind it? How would they position the console in the market? Because just portraying it as something that would make you more familiar or closer to the ecosystem wouldn't sell the product. So, and not even just a good product would sell itself. I mean, okay, it's Apple, but it's an industry that Apple has failed miserably in the past. So it has to be backed up with a solid marketing. Well, for now, there are a lot of rumors and leaks that we have, but that is all we have. So we really gotta wait and see how it turns up in the future. And to be honest, if you ask me, I would be okay if they don't come up with a new gaming console because that's not the need of the era. However, like I mentioned before, if there's a combination device coming up, then that would be really nice. On the other hand, if it is coming up as an extension to Apple TV, then God knows how is it going to be. I mean, it's either fudge or the South Koreans. You pick a side and you pick a winner. But that's all about the Apple game console. You tell me about your preferences. Are you into gaming? If yes, which are your favorite games and which are the consoles that you are used to? Let me know, connect with us on our social media channels and do share your love for games with us because we have some pretty badass gamers here at the studio and would love to interact with you. You know where to connect with us. We're available on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube and Twitter as iGeeksBlog. You can always read about, if you're planning to buy some exciting game consoles, then you can just check out our website www.igeeksblog.com. And you'll find some pretty badass content there. There's some great gaming consoles listed there. So time to upgrade your gaming console. And if you want some gaming related advice or any advice related to the Apple ecosystem, you can just hit me up on Instagram or Clubhouse. I'm available as Harshanki with an extra R. That's all for today. I hope you liked the episode. If you did, please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. We would love to hear your feedbacks and stay connected with us. We'll come back to you next week with more exciting content. Probably some pretty badass rumors, maybe new leaks or a new product on the whole. Keep suggesting us topics and we'll cover the same. And hey, do not forget to check out our app, the iGeeks blog app, because it really has some how-tos and buying guides and anything that you can imagine related to the Apple ecosystem right into your iPhones. Trust me, you don't want to miss that. That's all today. This is Harshanki signing off. I'll see you next week. Till then, stay safe, stay connected, and take good care of your health. It's time to burn those extra calories that you have put on during the festive season. Take care and have a great day ahead.